You are listening to the Across the Campus podcast, presented by atbsports.net.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Across the Campus, your college sports podcast presented by atbsports.net. I'm Alex, your captain, and as always, my partner in crime, AJ the Guru.
What's going on, everybody?
AJ, we have quite a bit to talk about today. So
We do. It's been a little while. Sorry for our listeners here. My Wi-Fi router, the red rings of death, really on it. So
was it made by Microsoft?
it probably was. Who knows? But I had to wait for that to get in, and then. But honestly, it's been kind of nice to having Wi-Fi for 3 days because it forced me and my fiance to be social.
I take it that doesn't happen too often.
Well, we're never home.
Fair.
We're never home.
Fair.
I mean, she gets home at 7:30. I get home at 7:30ish, and then it's dinner, then bedtime, then back at it again the next day. But we've got some friends coming into town tomorrow. We're actually that Walleye are back in town tomorrow.
Yes, they are. You excited for that?
Oh yeah, we got our tickets today. I think it's Batman night, so
Okay.
the theme nights are always a good time.
Theme nights are fun. They just did superhero night here. In
Yeah, you
Toledo.
did that. Yeah,
Yeah. So.
I saw it was a really good turnout from what I saw.
Yeah, quite a few people showed up, and
Yeah.
Toledo, they whooped. I don't remember who they were playing, but they whooped
It
them
was
pretty good.
Indy, wasn't it?
No, that was the week before. they
Before.
played Indy. Yeah.
Okay, maybe it was Cincinnati.
I think it was Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think it was Cincinnati.
So, but yeah, they looked pretty good in that.
Yeah,
the
they
scores there.
because we went New Year's Eve and it was 8-4 Walleye. So hopefully,
Yeah, didn't you say that the Walleye can score, but they just don't know how to fight or something?
pretty much. Yeah, they got whipped in like 4 or 5 different fights. It was not a good look.
Oof.
Yeah,
Oh,
but that's why you go to minor league hockey for the fights.
exactly. It's a lot of
Cheap,
fun.
it's a cheap ticket. Well, my tickets are free, so it's a cheap ticket, cheap night.
Yeah,
I think I
good
pay.
date night for
I think
anybody.
exactly. I think I pay more for parking than I do in the actual arena.
That makes sense. So
That's
all
where they
right,
get
yeah.
you.
Well, let's. We have to talk about it because it's what it is, the national championship.
Yep.
LSU absolutely looked like it was going to be a struggle for them in that first quarter.
Yeah, it
But
really
then
did.
They just turned it on and ran away.
Yeah, they really could not get the ball moving there in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, they were kind of stagnant, I thought. And that came from the play on the field and the play calling, too. I didn't think the play calling was that creative with the type of athletes they have. They didn't really get these guys into space.
A lot of those guys like Thaddeus Moss and, the Jamar Chase, like those guys, just nothing was working well for them. I think it took that first quarter for them to kind of settle down and say, hey, guys, this is a big stage, but we can do this. This isn't anything we are not used to in the SEC.
No, not exactly. And it was a home game for LSU.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
really, Baton Rouge is just down the road. And so really, I'm sure the week wasn't too difficult on LSU.
No,
But,
absolutely not.
With their, however many plays they script in that first, the 15, 20 plays of the game that are scripted, they just really couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, that was the big thing. I think Joe Burrow started the game 2 of 5 for like 8 yards or
Something like that, yeah.
And, he just looked bad in that first drive or two. But then we look at the final stat line, 31 of 49 for 463 yards and 5 touchdowns. And
It's
then
a lot
he
of
had,
yards.
another rushing touchdown?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so
That's a lot of
he just
yards.
looked really, really good, especially
did.
in the second quarter. And
His receivers started finally getting open, too.
Mm-hmm.
And the offensive line started creating holes for not only him to run through, but his running backs.
I did not really know the name Jamar Chase until this game. Like, I'd heard of him, and I knew that he was a good player.
Yeah.
The guy went off in this game. 9 catches, 221 yards, and 2 scores.
Yeah, he had himself a day.
Yeah, he looked really solid. Offensively for Clemson, though, Trevor Lawrence, I almost started feeling bad for him in the fourth quarter, watching him just do whatever he could. He reminded me of the quarterback from Utah, just doing everything he could to try to keep this team alive and in this game. And obviously it ultimately cost them a national championship. But
Right.
I really felt bad for him, especially that late fumble. That was hard to watch. As a fan of college football, I obviously had nobody in this game. I was cheering for LSU, I think more out of I really like LSU. I have friends who went to LSU. But Yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, he really struggled. Just over 50% completion percentage for 234 yards. No picks, no touchdowns.
Yeah, if anything happened in the second half, I didn't see it because I went to bed at halftime.
Okay.
These kickoffs need to start at like 6.
Yeah. Well, and I think you and I talked about that before. Is like this game had no business starting at 8, especially with the Pac-12 refs. They definitely showed their presence in this game.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No doubt about it.
But, I mean, defensively, LSU looked really good, especially after that first quarter, only surrendering 18 points the rest of the way. Clemson defensively looked really good for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
But that second quarter, they just got blasted.
Yeah, they did. That's, like I said, I went to bed at halftime, and was it 28-25 going into half or something like that? 28-17, yeah. So, I mean, they really, LSU came on, really scored unanswered, right? Because they were down 17-10, wasn't it? Or 17-0.
They at the end of the first quarter, it was tied up.
Okay.
And then Clemson got 10 more points. So, yeah, they were down 17-7.
That's right.
And then LSU went on a 3-touchdown run to finish the half.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, like I said, they looked really good. They took care of their opportunities once they really started moving the ball. The Thaddeus Moss, he only had 5 catches for 36 yards, 2 scores. Justin Jefferson, 106 yards.
Yeah,
these guys were just.
And I didn't realize how large of a human Moss is.
Oh, he is massive. Did you see Randy Moss out there cheering him?
Oh, yeah.
Like just losing his mind every time he did.
For some reason, I thought that was like Randy's nephew. I didn't realize it was his son.
Yeah.
Until they actually showed it. I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense now.
Yeah, I thought that was super, super cool.
Because, yeah. And, I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell he's his son, the size difference.
Oh,
Randy's tall but slender, and Thaddeus is tall but built.
Yeah, Thaddeus is massive.
I think he declared for the draft today.
Yes, he did. I saw that. I was super happy to see that.
He'll be a first-round pick.
Easily. I think that this is a really friendly draft in terms of receivers this year. There's a lot of guys declaring.
And he's listed as a tight end, isn't he?
I think he's listed as a tight end. Did you see Travis
Etienne?
Yeah, decided to stay for another year?
I did.
Thought that was pretty wild. I was not expecting that.
No, not at all.
But that's why they play the game. These guys obviously love playing with their brothers in arms at these schools. So you never fault a guy for returning for a senior year. He was rated the 4th best available running back, so I think maybe he's trying to raise that stock a little bit.
Yeah, because next year's running back class I don't think is that deep.
No, it's because you don't have Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins.
All you have is Chubb Hubbard, and that's it.
Yeah, because he decided to return this year, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, so in general, national championship, great game. For those who follow our account, we did live tweet it. Or rather, I live tweeted it. AJ went to bed. But,
yep, you live tweeted it. I was at bed at halftime.
Yeah,
some of us had to go to work the next morning.
I was at work at 11. Calm down.
I was there at 8:30.
So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was a great game all around. Both sides really came out, made it fun. I thought Clemson had a shot in the second half, but mistake after mistake, they just couldn't capitalize on opportunities. They kept shooting themselves in the foot with penalties, really.
Yeah, they did.
That was the big thing I kind of took away from that is the penalties just absolutely killed anything. I thought it was kind of crappy for Clemson, the late touchdown catch that they had, and then they get called for offensive pass interference.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like, oh, man, that's just a heartbreaker. That's just rude.
Yeah. After the calls they got the previous week, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I figured you wouldn't be too upset.
Not at all.
So yeah, that's really it from that. We did have some Odell Beckham Jr. news to kind of discuss.
Yeah, that's kind of taking a turn.
Yep. What?
So from what it looked like, he was in the locker room celebrating.
Yep.
And a couple things happened. One, he's handing out cash, which they still don't really know what's all going on there. And then second, he slapped the ass of have they determined, was it a security guard or a cop? I've heard both.
I've seen it was a cop who had gone down I guess to like tell them to stop smoking cigars or something. I'm not entirely sure on all the details.
Yeah, I don't think that's really all been come out yet.
But yeah, it's not a good look for Odell. That's for sure.
And that security guard or whatever, I don't think has any business being in that locker room.
Oh, 100% not. And I think that was where my initial issue was, right? Is he was down there, obviously doing whatever. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of pandemonium. Everybody's celebrating, everybody's partying, happy. Odell, being a premier alumni of that football program, wants to join in, wants to go down, wants to hang out and celebrate with those guys. And this officer, I couldn't tell really in the video what he was doing.
He was looking at that guy's Gatorade bottle.
Okay.
Yeah, he asked the guy to pick up his Gatorade bottle, and he looked at it real quick. I'm not sure why. Yeah, the whole thing is just kind of, I don't know. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And then Odell does Odell things, of course, and, smacks him on the butt. And then looks like he wants to fight him. And I'm just, like, super confused watching this interaction. Really confused as to what is going through Odell's mind.
And then I think Odell kind of thinks, too, is like, what the hell is this guy doing in here?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, like, the whole cash situation, that puts LSU in quite a pickle now, too.
Yeah.
Because they got to figure out who gave it to, Or is it guys who are going to be returning? Are they seniors?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But this is quite the story to break on Barstool. Like I listened to Pardon My Take, and and Joey and Coach O were on that the following morning, and they're just like, and Joey's like, yeah, that was real cash. I was like, huh. All right then.
Nice.
But I don't think it's not going to hurt Odell in any way, shape, or form. I don't think.
Oh goodness, no! This is all gonna come back specifically against LSU, which sucks, right? Like, you watch these kids who go out, they try to win a championship. They do win a championship, 15-0, great season. And then Odell comes in and just starts throwing cash to everybody. Like, even if there are kids on that team who didn't take it, who are still undergrads and not going to the draft or whatever, like, now you're going to get LSU fined or whatever. Like, something's going to happen.
Sure.
And it sucks. Like, you really don't want to see that kind of stuff happen.
Yeah, I don't know. And, I don't know if LSU will ever really figure out what really happened, Because with all the pandemonium, everything going on in there, I think it'll be, and especially for the guys who are leaving, they're not gonna say anything.
No, of course not. Why would they? There's no reason for them to.
And if Burrow would have been a little smarter, he should have probably just said, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that was dumb on his part. I think at this point he just didn't care.
Yeah.
Or probably didn't really understand what the consequences were, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really fault Burrow. I mean, this is all obviously on Odell. Odell, if you're listening, don't do that, man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, these kids depend on those scholarships, and these kids go out and they work really hard to bring something special back. Don't taint it with an investigation.
No. Because it's taking away from what really happened. And it's kind of annoying because all the media cycles, are, this, that, and the other. OBJ with the fanny pack, the wads of cash. I don't know. And it's not. And of course, it's on the same day that the Browns hire a new coach.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Stefanski. That's probably the last thing he wants to deal with.
Well, I was gonna say, that his antics at the end of that game. The media obviously talks about LSU winning the national championship, but of course Odell is overshadowing that because of the name, similar to the altercation with the Browns and the Steelers after the Browns beat the Steelers. Like, nobody was talking about that. They were talking about the
fight, yeah.
Yeah, about the fight, and it's just, don't do that, man. Like, let these kids have their chance in the spotlight. This isn't about you. Congrats, you're an alumni. This is about these kids who worked hard all season to go undefeated and would win a national championship. Let them have that moment. Don't taint it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it's kind of sucks, too, for Coach O because, he has to go on recruiting visits now, and he's on the road, and with all this stuff going back on campus, and, I don't know, I'm sure they haven't started classes yet. Well, no, they have, actually, because they canceled class that day.
Yep.
But... yeah, I don't know. And I feel like it's going to be something like we mentioned a little bit ago. It's going to go on for a while.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's fine, whatever. They're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. But Odell, this is not a good look.
No.
I think
Yeah,
that's
it's
kind of it, really, for national championship news. For that, I don't think there was really any other major college football news that I was aware of.
not really. Not that I know of. Just a couple guys. Nobody really surprising has declared.
Right.
Or I guess ATN's kind of the only one who's kind of surprised staying.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's just about it. Really, we really haven't seen many mock drafts yet. Nothing like that. That stuff will be coming out in the following months because we got the combine is in February, I think. I think it's February, March, somewhere in there.
The combine is February 23rd and ends on March 2nd.
March 2nd, yeah.
So, towards the end of the February, beginning of March month.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we'll get more and more here in the next couple of weeks.
Well, and I was going to say, that's when we're going to start to see those, those draft classes kind of take place. I think, obviously, you have to talk about DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor, and Zach Moss, really, out of Utah.
Yeah.
All of those guys are going to, depending on where they land, of course, are going to really make an impact at the next level. And I think that'll be really, really exciting. This is a really heavy running back class, but also a really heavy receiver class, like I mentioned.
Yeah, but I was just going to say it is a heavy running back class. And it has a lot of good talent, too. A lot of, 12, 1,300 rushers, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, like I said, Jonathan Taylor definitely, in my mind, he and J.K. Dobbins headline this class. But DeAndre Swift is just absolutely incredible. And you can't discount anything he's done for Georgia either. Georgia's
Absolutely.
just always churning out running backs. I mean, you look at Sony Michel, now DeAndre Swift. Who'd they have?
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, Nick Chubb. I mean, these guys are just so good. Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's wild to think, too, that Michelle and Chubb were there at the same time.
It's wild to think that, but I think Todd Gurley was there was a senior when Chubb and Sony
freshmen.
Michel were there.
Right, prior to their freshman year, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, you just look at the running back U, as people refer to him as, and then now DeAndre Swift, he was a freshman, I think, when Sony Michel was still there. So, these guys have all played together, and they've all developed these skills, and I think that's a really cool thing to see.
Absolutely. And the Cleveland Browns former defensive coordinator Todd Monken actually just took that OC job down there today.
Oh, did he? Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, Monken kind of got screwed in Cleveland, too, because he was just kind of there. He wasn't calling plays.
Right.
Freddie was, and that didn't get him very far. So, but yeah, he's taking the OC job down there. So that'll be good for him, too.
Good opportunity for him to really kind of spread his wings and see what
Sure.
happens.
Kind of get back into the play calling gig.
Absolutely. Well, let's transition over to Shooty Hoops.
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about there. That's you said it a few weeks ago. Nobody wants to be in the top 8. I think you're not off on this when we talk about basketball. Look,
No.
Going back to scores starting on Tuesday, Duke upset by Clemson. We've got
Florida State hit a buzzer beater the other night, didn't they?
Yes, they did. We've got Wisconsin upsetting Maryland. You look at some of these scores. Baylor, they pulled away late against Iowa State. Alabama beat Auburn. They blew Auburn out.
Yeah.
Seton Hall beat Butler.
Yeah, I saw that.
Kentucky went down to South Carolina.
Yep.
Georgetown beat Creighton. All these upsets are happening so early this year.
Yeah.
Washington State beat Oregon. It's just crazy watching all this. Right now, Michigan is down 4 at half. Dayton needed overtime to beat St. Louis, and then Michigan State downed Wisconsin. But I'm just looking at these upsets, and my mind just can't fathom what the tournament's going to even look like this year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. When it comes to the seeding, it'll be really funny to kind of see. But, speaking of college basketball, I sent you that picture the other day, of, let me see if I can find it here again. But just high school down the street from me, Fort Wayne, here in Fort Wayne, Homestead High School.
Oh, yeah, with
there's
all the recruits.
Yeah, there's a coach, or there's a player, his name is Luke Goody. He could probably play Division I basketball and football if he really wanted to. But he's just a better basketball player. And so just down the street from me, man, where is that?
Yeah, I've got the picture right here.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, name off the coaches.
Roy Williams.
Yeah.
Brad Underwood from Illinois. Matt Painter from Purdue. Tom Izzo from Michigan State. And Purdue Fort Wayne John Kaufman were all at that game.
Yeah. And so... And if the poor Purdue Fort Wayne coach, he knows he has no chance, but he has to be there because he's a local.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
But yeah, I mean, and it's funny too because I can't think of the name of them. They played Homestead played Blackhawk Christian, and Blackhawk Christian has a kid going to IU, and so the real thing was Goody versus this IU kid, and Goody's only a junior.
Yeah, that's what you were saying the other day.
So yeah. Yeah, so the scholarship offers are only going to keep coming in. He's got some nice offers, one from Maryland in there. And where else did I see? Illinois, I think, is already offered. Butler's already offered. Louisville's offered. And Stanford, I believe, was the other one.
Okay.
That'll be a fun person to keep an eye on over the next year.
Absolutely.
I called a few of his football games, and the kid's got an arm.
Okay, quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's going to be somebody to watch out for. Do you think he'll get any football offers, or is he going to be mostly on basketball?
Basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll play basketball.
Well,
because I think he'll get bigger. He'll get D1 offers for football,
sure.
But they'll be like the MAC schools and stuff like that.
Well, sure.
But yeah, he has an opportunity to play D1 basketball. He'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, basketball is, I think, I don't want to say football is tougher to crack into, but if you're getting an offer from like a Kansas or Kentucky, you take that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's well liked in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, I see that. He's well represented in terms of recruitment.
Yeah.
So that's one to keep an eye out for sure. Taking a look, I'm just going to narrow down to some MAC scores from this last week. Looks like all the MAC teams played on Tuesday. Which,
yeah. And Ball State only scored like 30-some points, too.
Yeah. Well, I was just looking at the scores from Tuesday. Central Michigan, right now, them and Kent State are my two favorites to play in the MAC championship in the tournament. Central Michigan down Toledo 74-67. Toledo had a shot at winning that game late, and then Central Michigan just went on a 13-point run, 13-2 run at the end of that game and just took it away. Miami upset Kent State, not leaving Kent State with their first loss in the MAC.
That's wild.
Bowling Green is looking solid. 85-82 over Western Michigan. They're 3-1 in the MAC. Ball State pulled it out against Eastern Michigan, 69-52. Ball State also 3-1 in the MAC. Buffalo 2-2 in the MAC. Needed a three-pointer at the end of the game to beat Ohio. And then Akron, the only undefeated in the MAC. I forgot about Akron. Absolutely trounced Northern Illinois, 72-49. They're 4-0 in the MAC.
Wow.
And they look really good. Toledo's playing Akron this weekend. Miami's traveling to Ball State.
Yep.
We got Buffalo at Central, Ohio at Eastern, Northern Illinois at BG, and then Kent State at Western Michigan. I think, obviously, you got to keep an eye out for Akron. They're very clearly the cream of the crop. But like I said, Central Michigan looks really good this year, as does Kent State.
Yeah, they do. And, one team that I always think about, when we talk about MAC basketball, it's probably 7-8 years ago, maybe a little longer, OU in the tournament.
They made the Sweet 16, right?
Sweet 16, I think it was, and they had a stud. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name, but he was a stud. They looked so good in the tournament too.
That was Well, they lost in overtime
Yes.
to North Carolina.
Yeah.
That was Jeff Bowles. That was the
Yep.
head coach there. That was his first year as the head coach. That was the
No.
2011-2012 season.
Bowles
no,
Bowles has only been there 2 years.
Oh, nope, I'm looking at right now. Yep, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So
because
this-
Bowles would have been at Ohio State then he went to Stony Brook, and then now he's
Right.
down at OU.
This was John Gross. That was his 4th season.
Yeah.
And they had so many good players. They had DJ Cooper, DJ Cooper, Nick Kellogg, Reggie Keeley.
Kellogg, yep,
Yeah.
that's right. That's Clark's kid.
Like this team was stacked.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of young guys. They had one senior on that roster. Everybody else was a junior or below.
What year was that again?
That was 2011-2012.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And they went 29-8, finished 11-5 in the MAC to finish 3rd place in the MAC East, behind Akron, who went 13-3,
13-3,
and Buffalo,
yeah.
who went 12-4.
That's wild.
And I'm looking at the rest of the scores from that season. Eastern Michigan won the West Division with a 9-7 divisional record.
Yikes.
Toledo was second with 7-9, although they finished with a winning record at 19-17.
Mm-hmm.
Toledo was the only school in the West to finish with a overall winning record.
Winning record, jeez. So I'm trying to think if
Gross.
were there any other MAC schools in that tournament?
No, because Ohio won the MAC tournament that year.
So okay, so it was their only bid. Okay.
So, and that's kind of goes to my argument of why college football should expand to a conference champion getting a bid, but that's obviously something we can talk about later. But yeah, no, Ohio was really good that year. They knocked off Michigan in the first round, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I know it was a Big Ten school.
Yep, it was Michigan, number 4 seed Michigan, 65-60, and then
OU was what seed?
13 seed.
13.
They were. Oh wait, hold up. Yeah, they were the 13 seed. And then they played South Florida and beat them.
Yep, I remember that.
And then overtime to lose to North Carolina. And that was 73-65. So North Carolina was sweating that game.
Yeah,
That North
that's
Carolina
right.
team, did they end up winning that year? No.
No, that was Kentucky, wasn't it?
They lost in the Elite Eight, so North Carolina lost the next round to Kansas.
Okay.
And they had some big guys on that team too.
Yeah, that whole that 3-4 year span right there was just loaded with talent, and everybody had it too.
Yeah, they were nuts. But that's why I love watching March Madness.
Was that Kentucky's undefeated year?
Ooh, was it? Let's take a look. Let's see if we can pull up the NCAA tournament from that year.
I can't remember because I want to say that was maybe 12 or 13. They had the undefeated year.
Kentucky went 38-2 that year.
38-2. Okay.
16-0 in the SEC.
Jeez. And they've kind of fallen off the wayside.
Yeah, they don't look as strong this year. I had actually seen somebody talking about it earlier. Let me see if I can pull it up. But they
Ohio State beat him, and we can't beat anybody right now.
Yeah, Ohio State's really struggling. Your guys are ranked 21 right now.
Yeah.
But, 12-5, 2-4 in Big Ten play, which is not what.
No, I was down in Bloomington at that game, and it was just a bad game on all aspects, IU and us. Nobody could hit a free throw to save their lives. We had one kid, Lytle's his name. He how did that go? He was fouled he was going for a layup and was fouled, so he went to the line. Okay. Missed 2 free throws, lane violation. So he got another 3 free throw, missed that, and then he got his rebound, went back and laid it up, missed the layup, went back to the free throw line, missed that one, and then made his final one. So he missed 4 out of 5 free throws in a matter of 15 seconds. It was so bad.
Yeah. That's,
And I'm sitting up there like, I was so hot.
Well,
I was
watching
so
a little bit
hot.
of that game, knowing that you were there. One, to, hopefully maybe see you. But
Mhm.
two, just I could only imagine how much you were freaking out during that game.
It was one of those things where it was just like, it's a free throw. It's not hard. It's the most basic, fundamental thing in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And they could not hit one to save their life, nor could IU. And, it was just, oh, gosh, it was so bad.
Well,
And
IU had
statistically, it
just
was
come
so
off
bad.
Of, an emotional win over Northwestern earlier that week.
Yeah, then 2 weeks before that, they lost to Arkansas.
Yeah, so IU, I think, will be fine once they start figuring things out.
Yeah,
But
and
they did not look good once conference play started.
no. And what IU fans are really upset with Archie Miller is that he plays like 10 different guys.
Yeah,
He doesn't have a solid 8 that he sticks with, 7 or 8. He plays 10. And you look at the stat sheet, it's 10 different players.
Can we talk
And
about
that-
Rutgers for a second?
Go for it.
We can finish the IU thing, but Rutgers is 13-4. They're
Yeah.
4-2 in conference play.
Yeah, they're low key winning.
I just don't understand it. This is the same Rutgers who had a football team that only put up 14 touchdowns all season.
Yep.
I just don't understand it.
That begs the question: is Rutgers a basketball school?
I mean, survey says yes.
Absolutely.
Them in Maryland. That's the value they bring to the Big Ten. Oh, speaking of Big Ten, we actually have other things to discuss. Penn State football.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. That's another.
We need to discuss
Yeah.
that.
It's weird too because that is another story that not a lot of news has come out.
Right.
Like there's still a lot of questions. And the other day it was still not the top story on ESPN. Antonio Gates retiring was a top story.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State was under it. But from what it sounds like, there was some hazing and some, not so nice things going on in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this was last year or how long ago this was. I don't think they've really said.
It looks like it was from 2 years ago because
Okay, 2 years ago.
Who was a freshman? He transferred to Cal,
Okay, that's what it was.
and that's what he did, and he filed a lawsuit against.
The school and Franklin.
And oh boy, I guess depending obviously on what happens, the lawsuit. For our listeners, this is going to get a little explicit. I wanted to apologize. If you guys want to fast forward a couple minutes on this, please do. But the fact that the Jerry Sandusky scandal was huge, obviously. That really was a version of the death penalty for Penn State a few years ago.
Sure.
James Franklin has worked really hard to bring that back. But to hear this report come out and say that he ignored reports of teammates saying, "I'm going to Sandusky you,"
Yeah.
like
That's, yeah.
you can't, if I'm Penn State, if I'm James Franklin, I take everything seriously and I stamp it out as quick as I possibly can.
Sure.
Because you can't, if something like this slips. Isaiah Humphries, by the way, was his name.
Yes, that's right.
And then he named James Franklin and defensive tackle Damian Barber as defendants in the lawsuit. There were 3 other parties involved: linebacker Micah Parsons, defensive end Yetur Gross-Matos, and linebacker Jesse Lucetta.
Micah Parsons is a stud, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. His name sounded really familiar.
And Humphreys only stayed at Penn State the fall of 2018, and he and a bunch of other classmen were allegedly targeted for hazing acts that simulated assault. And I'm not going to read all this for our listeners.
No.
Obviously, you guys can go look this up yourself. But, yeah, the Jerry Sandusky scandal was less than a decade ago, 2011, 2012.
Wow. Doesn't seem that long ago.
No, it really doesn't. And I don't know what to say. Obviously,
Something,
there's
you
not
know.
much we can say,
No, and I think Penn State, their PR team's trying to do the best they can, just keeping things, as quiet as they can, because in this day and age you have to, and with the reputation they've had, I'm not going to say reputation, but with the events that they've had, the events that have transpired there, this is definitely now there's some hazing going on, in the locker room. It happens, whatever, but this kind of stuff was just, and again, you can go look at it in the reports, but this is stuff that probably should not be going on.
And I just want to make it very clear for our listeners, like, we obviously don't condone this kind of behavior. Like, I think anybody with half a brain wouldn't condone this kind of behavior. I get in a locker room, guys will, they'll say crude things that aren't appropriate. They'll hit each other with towels, that kind of stuff. But this is taking it to a whole nother level that is extremely inappropriate. Hazing obviously in general is not appropriate to any degree, but this is taking it to a whole nother level that, frankly, if I'm Penn State, I'm looking at how bad is this going to screw us for everything, because another lawsuit within a decade of a similar nature against the same student athletic program
in the same locker room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. It really
is. And speaking of what do we want to call it? Behavior that we don't want to condone. Aaron Hernandez documentary. Let's get into that.
That's really good.
How far are you in?
I finished it.
Okay. So I was disappointed. It was good, but I was disappointed in the simple fact that they talked about everything we already knew. Mm-hmm. And his partner, his quarterback in high school, his dad should have not been in the documentary.
Oh,
he was so bad. He was so bad. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I was just like, okay, break some news that I didn't know, do stuff or talk about things that people didn't know. Let's talk about him, mentally, like what was going through his mind. Well, and I think he went off the deep end when his dad passed.
Yeah, no, absolutely he did. And I think that was the critical moment for him and kind of a big turning point. For those listening, the Aaron Hernandez documentary is on Netflix now. It is
The Mind of a Killer, right?
Mind of a Killer, that's right. So it's a 3-episode documentary. Each episode's about an hour, so you can watch it in an evening. It's as a football fan, I watched the O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, I watched both of those. It was TNT had the series
good.
and ESPN
those
did
were
one.
really well done.
I just didn't think this one was put.
More of that.
Yeah,
I sat down to watch.
I just didn't think this one was put together well. If that makes sense.
No, that's fair. I think that it definitely could have been put together better. I don't think that it's something that was bad.
I think it was one of those things too, where they're thinking like somebody suggested it to a Netflix person, and then months later they came back. That person went to the person who suggested it, and it's like, oh crap, we had to make a documentary, so they just threw a bunch of stuff together.
Yeah, no, that it seemed rushed.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you and I, when we saw the advertisements for it, we were talking about how hyped we were about it and what we were going to find out. I thought that there was definitely some information we found out. I thought it was interesting to hear the perspectives of guys like Urban Meyer and
Urban and Shelley.
Yeah, Urban and Shelley both. I thought it was really cool kind of seeing some of the training camp videos where they're like, hey, we can't really talk about this.
Yeah, especially Tebow being a Patriot.
Yeah, it still blows my mind. I keep forgetting that he was a Patriot for even a moment.
Yeah.
And because especially with Tebow being a Patriot, though, because they played together at Florida.
Exactly. They went, they were to bars together, and there was one of the incidents down at Florida. Tebow was with him. Yeah. So
it's just it's a pretty wild thing.
One thing too that kind of was interesting is he wasn't like he got comfortable in prison. He goes, oh yeah, my cell is very clean. I take good care of it. I feel comfortable here, and I'm sitting there like, huh. I mean, that's not normal, I wouldn't think.
The thing that kind of bugs me is obviously we as football fans didn't know until after the fact, of course, that he played a season of football having killed people.
Yeah.
But I think for me, if I was ever in a position like that and I tried to continue to do what I do normally, the fact that he was able to be so calm and focused on the game of football, knowing that he had taken lives, I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah. And, just to be able to go out and just play football like nothing happened, and then to go home to your fiance and your daughter and like nothing happened. And it was...
Yeah.
I think this documentary could be done better.
Sure.
In so many aspects, because I think I wouldn't be sitting here stuttering over questions we don't know.
Well, exactly. I think that they left a lot of unknowns out there.
They did. They didn't really clarify anything. They just kind of stated what we already knew.
Mm-hmm.
We knew he had, he experimented with the opposite sex.
Sure.
That was kind of a rumor, and then we all kind of figured that out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the note that was left behind.
Then his quarterback in the documentary and stuff like that, his high school quarterback.
Well, and then the one lineman that he played with.
The Patriot. He was a former Patriot also. So there was just a lot of kind of head scratchers. We were very excited for it, but kind of left it kind of like, eh.
Yep.
It still could have been better because, you go into those murder mystery stories, you learn about the killer, you learn, motives.
Mm-hmm.
You learn things new, and this one we didn't really learn anything new.
No, and that was the kind of the frustrating thing is we had the opportunity to get new information and we didn't. Mm-hmm. Now, again, personally, I really enjoyed the documentary. I enjoyed kind of seeing more of it because I watched the case and whatnot. I watched all that as it was happening, but I think to go back and watch a lot of it again with different perspective.
Yeah,
it was
one of those things too where you kind of forgot about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and then you watch it and you go, oh yeah, that did happen. But the one thing I actually really did enjoy were the phone conversations.
Yeah.
And I think the worst person in his life was his mother because she made that comment, after you got the $40 million, I only asked for $1 million, I would have been good. She said that, and I'm like, okay, this woman's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was, how was it? She was sleeping with their cousin's husband right after Aaron's father passed away or something like that.
Yeah, and then Aaron, catches him, and it's like,
yeah,
you ruined it. Like, you hurt this kid. So I don't want to say I blame her for what he did, but I blame her for not catering to his feelings during, sure, she was trying to take care of herself, but you're also responsible to continue to raise your child.
Right.
In an appropriate manner, and she failed to do that. I thought and I know they talked about it in the actual case itself. I thought it was really interesting how close he was.
And then he went to live with his aunt for a while. Yeah, she passed away with cancer. But she was kind of enabled him, too, with alcohol and drugs at a young age. And then hiding that the car in her garage.
That blew my mind when I first saw that.
I guess I didn't know that part. I guess I was doing one thing I didn't really know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair. But yeah, it's a great documentary. Like I said, for those who get the chance, it's only 3 hours in length for all 3 episodes. Give it a watch. Obviously you'll get some information you knew. Hopefully you'll get some new information. But in general, I personally really enjoyed it, like we mentioned. But
one other thing that creeped me out too was they showed the security footage from his basement.
Yeah.
And those guys were playing with his daughter,
mm-hmm.
who were accessories in the murder.
Yeah.
They were just playing with his daughter on the couch, and I'm sitting there like, what?
I can't imagine dealing with something like that. I really can't.
That was one thing I was like, probably not going to be the first person I would allow my child to be around.
Oh, absolutely
but,
not. Well, I mean, at that point, you have to make it look legit,
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, too. This all would have been fine and dandy if he would have deleted all of the security tapes he had. He didn't delete everything. And the things that he did not delete ended up being the top, focuses of evidence in court. So it's he didn't plan this very well.
No, it was a very, and they said that in the documentary too, it was a very sloppy murder.
Yeah.
So
it made no sense.
Yeah, it's wild, it's nuts, and it's crazy to think that there are guys like that are playing these professional sports.
Yeah. And they're, they commit a crime and they go out and play like nothing happened.
I couldn't do it. I really
No. And,
Emotionally, I'd be so checked out.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd have to be because you'd be looking over your shoulder constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And
he
I
wasn't.
think the one thing the documentary that actually did well was the sense that they didn't blame CTE as often as some people may think.
Right.
With the damage his brain was, they brought up the Junior Seau and stuff like that, which is all fine.
Mm-hmm.
But they also made a good point saying thousands and thousands of people play football and only 2 people have ever done something like this or, killed themselves or killed somebody,
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of like a good statement to make because you can't blame all of this on head trauma.
Absolutely.
I played. I'm fine. Like, I know a lot of people who play. I know guys in the NFL currently who, and so I think there's a lot that built up to him in his life. And he was only, 24, 25, whatever.
24, 25, yeah.
And I always wondered, too, the best thing for him would have, I think the best thing for him was to go to Florida to get away from his, his homeboys back home, his crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Florida being a big-time place, it's tough. He could have gone to UConn. I think he may have been okay there. But, like, California or Wyoming, like somewhere like that in the middle of nowhere, probably would have been better fit.
Well, and I think they mentioned that too in the documentary.
They did.
Everybody was
Yeah.
excited he went to Florida, or somebody was excited he went to Florida, but they were like, "This is not good that he's coming back to Boston." Although the Patriots, at the time still are considered a fantastic organization. That was the worst thing that could have happened for him.
Yeah, and Urban Meyer even mentioned it too. He would talk to Aaron's brother, like when he had to go back. He got worried. He was getting worried too, and he kept going back to Boston.
Yep.
And his brother and him talked every other day or so about it. So
It's pretty crazy, and
and I'm sure this won't be the last documentary.
No.
Because kind of like with O.J. Simpson, there were multiple.
Well, and I think the OJ one was so high profile in terms of this is the first time we've really seen somebody of true celebrity status be put on trial for something like that.
And O.J. was done playing.
Yeah, like he was past his playing days because he finished his time at USC in the 60s, and he was broadcasting in the mid 80s. Like,
Oh, he was broadcasting, making movies.
so his playing time was done, and obviously, he was acquitted. He was not found guilty. So anybody who wants to say anything to the contrary, that's fine. Just legally, he was found innocent, and I will leave it at that.
Yeah.
Especially since we are trying to get him on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's super important that we recognize the different. I think the OJ one was so. There was a lot more at stake with that OJ trial, in terms of racial riots out in L.A. There was a lot more on the line.
And and OJ assembled
The greatest legal
the
defense
greatest
in history.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, too, they brought that up also in this Aaron Hernandez. If he would have hired that second lawyer he had, Perez,
Yeah.
what was his name? Yeah, he may have gotten off on the first one.
Wow.
Because this is like the lawyer to the stars. You got Casey Anthony off her,
That's right.
murder conviction. He may have had a shot.
It's crazy to think about.
It is. But I tweeted this out earlier.
Yes.
And as we kind of close the show down here, it's getting close to my bedtime. We're going to do a new segment.
Yes.
And that is going to be Mac Trivia because we are the most pro Mac podcast out there.
That is right. And
So,
don't let anybody tell you otherwise, folks.
Absolutely. So every week or so, Alex and I are going to alternate asking trivia questions that revolve around the Mac conference. Because, again, we are the most pro Mac conference on the web.
Yes.
Anywhere you find
love the
podcasts, anywhere you listen, we do love the Mac. We absolutely love it. So, we were talking about. I brought the suggestion up today. Or no, we thought about the idea a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, well, I was bored at work today, so let's look at some trivia." So, my trivia question to you is:
All right.
which school left the MAC conference twice?
Twice.
Yes.
Which school left the MAC conference twice? And it's a current member, correct?
No.
Oh, so they're no longer in the MAC and all.
Nope.
Okay. Well, let's see. We've had trying to think who's all been in the MAC.
It is not a founding member. I got 2 hints here. It's not a founding member, and neither stint was more than 15 years.
Neither stint was more than 15 years. Not a founding member, and they've left twice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think who has all been in the conference. So we've had Marshall, we've had Temple, we've had UMass. UMass went back down to 1AA.
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Who was all in the MAC? Marshall was known in the MAC because of, or everybody knew who they were because of the plane crash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. Something I want to say it's Marshall, but I don't. Something tells me that's not correct. Is it? We've got Temple, we've got Marshall, we've got Akron still in the conference. We've Cincinnati. Cincinnati was in the MAC at one point, right?
Way back when, yeah.
Way back when, okay. I am going to go with Cincinnati, I think. I really like that. No? Yes.
Final answer?
Final answer, Cincinnati.
Marshall is the correct answer.
Ah, dang it. I knew I should have stuck with Marshall.
So, Marshall joined the MAC in 1954, making it a 7-league team. All the other 6 are still members, which were Ohio, Miami, Western, Toledo, Kent, and Bowling Green. Marshall left in 1969 and was independent from 70 to 76,
Okay.
and then and a member of the Southern Conference from 77 to 97. They rejoined the MAC in 97, but left in 05 for the Conference USA.
The more you know. See,
Absolutely.
I was dancing around Marshall like something wanted me to cling to that, and I should have just stuck with my gut on that.
I liked that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a solid question.
So, were they in the MAC when, like, Randy Moss was there?
Randy Moss was there in what, the early mid-90s?
No, they would have been in the Southern Conference, probably.
Well, let's take a look.
Well, they had, yeah, because they were in the Southern Conference from 77 to 97.
Randy Moss was drafted in 1998.
Oh.
So his last year in college, he was
They were
in the
MAC.
American Conference.
Yeah, he was. Oh, that's good. The MAC Conference needs to claim him then.
Yeah, I googled Randy Moss college career, and the first thing that pops up is his jersey with the MAC patch on it, the old.
Is it? Okay, cool.
So
Very cool. Then, yeah, Conference USA now.
So it looks
So-
like, yeah, because Marshall went to, because they were Division 1AA, and then they
Yep.
moved up to Division 1A.
Mm-hmm.
So that's okay. That makes sense.
Yep.
yeah.
So, independent from 70. See, they left. They joined the MAC in 54, left in 69, independent from 70 to 76, then became a member of the Southern Conference in 77 to 97. They rejoined the MAC in 97, but left in 05.
Okay.
So there you go. Fun facts.
Looks like I'm now looking at it. Ohio is the longest standing member of the Mid-American Conference and the only remaining founder left in the conference.
So who are the founders?
You ready for this one?
Yeah.
Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
Western Reserve.
Was that Case Western?
Yep. We've got Cincinnati, Butler, and Wayne I want to say that's Wayne in Detroit. Wayne State, yep. And then Case Western. So those are
Wow.
founders.
I never would have guessed any of those.
Right?
Well, besides Ohio.
Ohio is the only remaining founder.
Only remaining one. So Case Western, they're what, D3 now?
Something like that, yeah. Well, that's because the divisional split happened in the 70s.
Yeah, 70s, yeah. Because Wayne, they're D3, I think.
D2, I think.
D2, okay. Then
no,
of
they're
course,
1AA, I believe. actually.
Butler, yeah, 'cause Butler's 1AA also.
Their Wayne
Football.
State is Division II. They play in the
Division
Great
II,
Lakes
okay.
Intercollegiate
Oh, then they're in the
Athletic Conference.
Then the GLIAC.
Yep.
That's right. The GLIAC is an underrated conference too.
It's a great conference.
We should talk. We'll talk about the GLIAC someday.
Yeah, I'd love that. I had a next door neighbor. Their grandson played for Hillsdale College.
Oh yeah, I know people who went to Hillsdale. I had a teammate who played at Findlay,
See, our connections just keep getting deeper, man.
and my college roommate too played at Findlay before he transferred to Ball State.
Okay, good to know. Good to
Oh
know.
yeah,
Finley's a good school. They've got some good
yeah.
athletic
The Oilers. Yeah, well they share the stadium with the high school.
Yes, they do. The Findlay Trojans.
Mm-hmm.
That was my high school's biggest rival.
That was it. And then the Findlay Oilers.
Yep.
So
Findlay Oilers for the college. Trojans was
Yeah.
the main high school, but they also had Van Buren High School.
Van Buren, yeah. Let's see, we got Grand Valley State. They're kind of always the top dog, and then Michigan Tech.
Mm-hmm.
They're way northern Michigan.
They have
And
Ashland,
Findlay, Ashland. Yeah, I know people from Ashland.
Ferris State.
Ferris State, and people from Ferris State. They have a hell of a soccer program there.
Yes, they do. Their soccer program is nuts.
And they had a kid get drafted, I think, to the NFL last year, maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, it looks like Hillsdale College is no longer part of that conference.
Really?
They are part of the Great Midwest Athletic Conference.
Okay. I know some people who played basketball there. GLIAC is such a cool name.
Yeah, it really is. It rolls off the tongue really well.
Right.
So, well, cool, man. The trivia, that's going to be our new segment. If you guys want to try to stump us with some Mac facts, please send them in. Send them to the Twitter. We'll read them out loud. We'll figure out a way to broadcast them to see if we can stump the other. If you guys feel like you know better than us the history and the goings on in the Mid-American Conference, by all means, please test our knowledge. We want to make sure that we know more than you guys, or else we'll have to have you on the show.
Absolutely. Okay, here one sec.
Go for it.
Here are the current members of the GLIAC. Ashland, Davenport, Ferris State, Grand Valley, Lake Superior, Michigan Tech, Northern Michigan University, Northwood University, Purdue University Northwest, Saginaw Valley, Wayne State, and University of Wisconsin Parkside.
The Wisconsin one seems a little random, but the rest...
Oh, wow, Findlay's not in it anymore.
Findlay's not anymore.
No.
Are they in
Neither
the
is
Midwest too?
Neither is Lake Erie College. Ohio Dominican, they're not anymore. Tiffin's not anymore. Walsh isn't anymore.
So it used to be a great conference.
Yeah. Because Ohio Dominican, their program's very new because I did a recruiting trip there.
Okay.
They are in the... Let's see if I can find their conference now. They're in the Great Midwest Athletic Conference, yep.
Seems
So
like that
those...
conference is kind of taken over.
Yeah, so those schools are Alderson Brodus, Alderson Broaddus. That's in West Virginia.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, it's a private Baptist school.
Okay.
Then Cedarville,
Yep, I know Cedar.
Findlay, yep. Cedarville, Findlay, Hillsdale, Kentucky Wesleyan, Lake Erie College, Malone University, Ohio Dominican, Ohio Valley University, Tiffin, Nazarene, which is Nashville,
Yep.
Walsh University, Canton, and then Ursuline College in Pike, Ohio. These are all pretty much private schools.
Yeah, a lot of those D2 schools are.
Enrollment. Ooh, enrollment's kind of fun to look at, too. 509 people go to Ohio Valley University.
I could probably fit 509 people in my house
Yeah.
if we use the basement.
Huh. The founding members of that conference, they're called the GMAC. GMAC conference. That's cool.
We don't know as much about that, Mac.
No. Central State, Davis and Elkins, Salem International University, Urbana University. Yeah, I know Urbana. And then University of Virginia's College at Wise.
Interesting.
Huh.
The more you know.
Let's see. For example, Urbana, Ohio, they joined in 2013, or excuse me, joined in 2012, left in 2013. They are in the Mountain East. Huh. Yeah, I've never heard of half these schools. Huh. Well, there you go.
Man, now I'm excited to learn about some Division II sports.
Absolutely. So much of it.
There really is. There really is.
It was established in 2011. They began play in 2012. 13 members. Their headquarters is in Indianapolis. Huh. Interesting.
Road trip.
Absolutely. Got a place to stay.
There we go. Perfect.
But that's it for me, man.
Cool, man. Yeah, so, guys, I think that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yep.
If you guys get the chance, please, please, please go follow us on Twitter at Across the Campus. We're always trying to post some more content, make sure that we get stuff out there. I'm retweeting constantly college basketball, some college volleyball. Going to be starting to talk about some college baseball and softball here soon. Talking about the NFL draft, maybe do a couple mock draft things for you guys. So please, please, if you haven't, go follow us on Twitter at Across the Campus. If you do want to follow us on Facebook and all of our other Twitter accounts, you follow our main account page at atbsports.net on Twitter. You can look for us on Facebook at Across the Board. We're always posting new content there. We've got Browns content. We've got NFL content. We're going to be coming out with some baseball content for the Major League Baseball season. We've got, obviously, the NFL draft coming up. That's going to be another big one. If you want to follow the main account's podcast, it is ATB Sports Pod on Twitter. Our crosstown rivals, the Beard Brothers, they have another episode they just posted this week. It is the Beard Brothers Fantasy Football Podcast, which is available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and anywhere podcasts are hosted. You can follow them on Twitter at BeardBrosFF. So make sure you guys check them out. Dylan and I, for your knowledge, AJ, we're trying to iron out the details of our joint podcast. I think we're going to try to hold off till after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that works.
So just so that we can get everything out of the way for both of our pods. Oh, last thing, if you guys know of anybody out there in the NFL, I know this is a long shot, but you're our listeners and we want to get your help as well. In the NFL, playing college sports right now, let us know. We want to interview them. We want to talk about their experience as a college athlete. AJ, I want to do a segment on you with your time playing college sports. We've got a buddy of yours, a wrestler, who we're going to bring on the show. We're going to get the Wormley brothers on here at some point. We just want to make sure that we really make this about you guys and your college experiences. So please.
Sure, I can reach out to Chris after. Well, I guess he's kind of done. The Ravens are done,
Yeah.
But I can reach out to Chris here in the next couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Yeah, absolutely. So we'd love to have him on the show. Love to talk to him about his experience so far.
I can reach out to him. I can reach out to Stephon Tuitt as well.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Notre Dame guy, so yeah, I can figure.
That'd be great.
I can make a few phone calls, see what we can get.
Cool deal, man. I'll reach out to Kareem Hunt. I think I might still have a few connections to him, so I'll see what I can do about maybe even getting Kareem Hunt on the show. I think that'd be really cool.
Okay. Yeah.
So, cool, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see all of you next week.
See you.